When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Welcome to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while expertly pronouncing Cajun last names and disputing the efficacy of ghosting in small circles.
Gonna love what we love, do it out loud. Stack our shelves with the clinches out. Shout it from the rooftop, can you hear the sound? Yeah. Live your best life, love it out loud. Love it out loud.
Hey HBs! This week on the bonus feeds, Sabrina is going to take us on a tour of her Galen Foley rabbit hole. Once we read The Duke, Sabrina could not stop reading the Night Miscellany books. I'm very, very excited for this one. That's this Friday on Patreon and our Apple Podcast subscription. Okay, listen. For very ADHD-related reasons, Sabrina and I have developed a block about doing Patreon shoutouts in the body of the episode. But since we're just as thankful for y'all as ever, I'm going to start doing it here. So, thank you so much for supporting us on Patreon, Michelle, Nina, author E.N. Chanting, I see what you did there, Lizzie C., Sarah, Shannon, and Patrina W. We appreciate you so, so much. Okay, so last week I accidentally lied to you. I said we were doing Never Love a Highlander, but then we switched up our schedule a bit this week, and we're actually going to contemporary New Orleans. Here's our recap of Going Down Easy by Erin Nichols. Oh, hey, Sabrina.
Well, hello. I would say long time no see, but it's not. It's not at all. But
no.
I do love
Which is how
you.
we like it. That's how we prefer it.
Every time I think that you and I aren't a little codependent, I'm reminded pretty aggressively that we are.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the end of the statement. any hoodles. I'm just ready to dive in, honestly.
Are you ready to talk about this book that simultaneously didn't make a lick of sense to me, but also was so real life that I couldn't?
Yeah. I have so many questions for you, Melody, as a parent.
Please.
Hello, listener. This is going to be an episode on parenting, apparently.
It is. And like, I'm going to say this for the record. I liked book, okay? I enjoyed book.
Yeah. I want
book
this
was
out there.
Good.
I want this out there that I enjoyed the hell out of this book. I will probably be reading the rest of the series. Like, I liked the setting. I liked the characters. I'm excited for these characters to come back as side characters. I am about to rip this book a new asshole.
It's just, look, I don't often read parent romance novels because that's where I live and I don't want to be there all the time. You know, like I want my romance novels to take me elsewhere.
I walked out of reading this book, especially because, like, to give you some context, listener, we decided that we're doing this book early. We reorganized our schedule. We just, we needed to do like a shorter book and record it faster.
We had to accommodate my dirt delivery. All right, everybody. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was out of town for a wedding this weekend. So anyway, this came out of left field. I do have to ask you, Mel, did you read the prologue? 0.5?
I don't know. I read the audiobook. I don't know.
Nope, you sure didn't then.
I didn't.
Because it is a 75-page novella.
What is it?
It is their first meeting.
Yes. I think I would love that.
It was delightful.
Okay, yeah. So going down easy, the premise is there's a guy who is a bartender in Louisiana.
Gabe
and he Yes. He is saying goodbye to his like once a month weekend booty call. And she is this architect, this restorative architect who flies down once a month from New York, where she lives. She ends up coming into his bar on Saturday night. They fuck all Saturday night. They spend all of Sunday just like being in New Orleans together. He's like really sweet and he does touristy stuff with her because he knows how much she loves the city. And then she goes to the architecture firm on Monday and then flies out again. And so he looks forward to this. This has been like 6 months of this once a month. All of a sudden she appears. They don't have each other's phone numbers. They don't know anything about each other at all. They treat this relationship like I treat romance novels that aren't about parenthood. They're like, I don't need a lot of info about you. I just need you to make me scream cum and then like flirt with me during the day. And then I'm gone. Goodbye. Thank you so much. That was a lovely time, right?
Did you just admit live on podcast that you scream come at romance novel? Like apparently every romance novel that you read? No,
I had switched gears.
That's a bold statement if that's the case. Okay.
No,
that's a I touched myself on the plane kind of admission.
Look, that is something I'm neither going to confirm nor deny, all right? Because it's a case-by-case basis, frankly.
It is a case-by-case. I'm not, but I am not sitting here on a pedestal looking down on you saying that I have never scream come to a book that I've read, okay? That is not what I'm saying. And this isn't a hypothetical.
Over there.
This is not a hypothetical, okay? That is like just fully, I'm not going to name names, but like I'm not going to say it hasn't happened, you know?
No,
but
what
like,
I'm saying is like
it's
just
a
this
bold statement to roll in and be like, every romance novel.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out because that's not how I meant it.
Every book is a one-handed read, okay?
What I meant was that it's just like this bite-sized escape. They need no information before, they need no information after. It's just this like, I'm going to have a wonderful experience and then I'm going to walk away and not think about it. And at first that's true.
I will say, I would be incapable of this kind of interaction with
I would love this.
I am incapable of not digging into somebody's like life.
Whole deal.
And asking 10,000 questions.
Becoming
and
a fixture.
Also offering a ton of information about myself that they don't need. Like I am incapable of that. I will say though, I am fully capable of only doing that once a month for 36 hours.
And then
I never see you.
Yeah.
Like
honestly, this arrangement sounds wonderful to me.
this kind of thing is like, I love this kind of shit where it's like,
why am I not single? Why do I not travel for work? You know what I mean? Is my question for everyone.
I would have a booty call in that zip code. I would
booty call in every port.
Every port. Sailor up, motherfucker. I'm about to be like this. That's my Nashville girly. That's my Portland boy. That's my Boston NB. Like,
incredible.
I would have somebody in every port.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, though. Gabe has noticed that his attitude toward her is changing a little bit. And, like, don't get him wrong. It is still hypersexual. It is still very intense.
I was not prepared for the dirty talk in this book.
I loved it. Yeah,
I've never even heard of this author or this series. And I was reading it and I was like, oh,
Listener,
hello.
In this book, he converts her from a person who, like, hates the word pussy to a person who loves the word pussy.
And, like, I see why.
For sure.
I love the term pussy, and I loved it even more
Absolutely.
after Gabe Trahal was done with it.
Yeah. So he's saying goodbye to her, and she's going to go off to her architecture firm that morning.
So they do not talk about it in the first book. Do you want the quickest rundown of the prologue, how they
I would love that.
Get together? Okay, so basically we wake up in Vegas. He picks up his phone because he gets a bunch of text messages. It's not his phone, he realizes.
Okay.
But he's still hungover as fuck and looking at these text messages. And he's scrolling through it. He's reading all of the things. And I was a little confused about the text message thing, but he sees a picture of this sexy fucking set of legs and heels.
Okay.
In this text message thread. Turns out the phone is Elena. We meet Elena in this book, Elena LeBlanc, and she is one of her school buds from New York, and she's telling Addison's the heroine, about like how she thought she was getting married to a brother, but they ended up like nobody got married, but then it turns out somebody did get married because she and Logan accidentally signed on the witness signatures instead of the marriage certificate signatures. And Caleb and another guy who was in Vegas with them accidentally got married. And so they're off trying to figure out how to annul the wedding. It's a whole thing. But he texts Addison. He steals Elena's phone and texts her. And I was like, hey, when do you want to come back down? Because he's obsessed with her immediately. He thinks that her wit over text especially because
what a fucking creeper.
Especially
this is a twist I didn't see happening.
Especially because he saw how she was acting with just her friend. And so like all of her like stuff is down. She's not trying to be impressive.
Yeah.
And he was like, she's not trying to be impressive, but damn, I'm impressed. Look at those legs and those heels. And she's so funny and sassy. And he is immediately smitten. And
love it.
He texting. He's like, hey, when's the next time you come to New Orleans? And she's like, I think I could make it work next month. And then he's like, what about next week? All right. And then so she ends up showing up at the bar with Elena. And he straight up is like, we're fucking doing this. And she's like, yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are.
And she's like, I never do this. And then this man, he looks her dead in her beautiful face and he says, have you ever been eaten out on a 19th century wrought iron balcony looking over the French Quarter Square? And she was like, no, I haven't.
Achievement unlocked.
Are you gonna do that? And he's like, absolutely. And so he does that night. On page, we watch him go up on her while she leans on this. He pays a musician in the square, gives him $50, and he's like, hey, go play near Trahans. And then this dude plays jazzy Frank Sinatra on his fucking instrument on the corner the entire fucking night. She's like, I can't hear a trumpet without getting wet now.
Yeah, sploosh. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then the next day they do their normal thing, and then she leaves and they don't exchange anything. They make no plans or anything like that. And then the last two pages, his brother Logan and Gabe own Trahans together.
Trahans. Yeah. That's how I hear you. That's how the audiobook said it. So if I say it that way, that's why. I fucking
knew it too. I was literally thinking that while I was reading this book. Listener, for context, I was not born and raised in Louisiana, but 99% of my best friends live in Louisiana. And I did live there for 5 years. And I specifically lived in Lafayette, which is real Cajun. And literally, I've been in the wedding of a Trahan. If you fucking come to me and I was reading this book and I was like, that audio narrator, there's no fucking way they did not butcher every single last name in this book. I knew it. I fucking knew it.
So so the last 2 pages is her showing up the next month.
Last 2 pages is Logan is like, hey, check it out. And you should really go help that person at the end of the bar. And he's like, well, I'm dealing with this fucking bachelorette party that is only here because you flirted with them and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, you should really go look. And he does. And he sees her and she smiles at him. And then he stalks up behind her, whips her around and plants a big ol' smackaroonie on her in that bar. That's the end of the prologue, or the prequel.
Yeah. I love that Gabe tries in the first chapter to be like, I'm a chill guy. I'm a cool guy. I'm totally fine with this no strings relationship. I have no problems whatsoever.
One of my favorite things about this entire book is how much he's like, I'm cool. I'm fine.
No worries over here.
I have a couple of quotes that I will be reading to everybody.
Yeah. So, okay, he thinks all right, I'm not going to see her for a month, but he's like, I feel like things are changing for me. I want to know more about her. I want her to be around more often. And so he's flirting with the idea of sending her flowers or getting his number somehow or whatever. He goes to his bar, which is in a historic building.
Not only is he considering the flowers, he thinks to himself, it wasn't like he was sending flowers to her home or something. That would be more personal, and he wouldn't write anything sweet or romantic on the card. These would be, thanks for the 2 blowjobs flowers, or do you do cowgirl better than anyone I've ever met flowers. Hey, you okay? Logan asked. Gabe realized he'd zoned out, thinking about sending Addison flowers, and not your ass fits perfectly in my hands flowers. More like, I already miss you flowers? He could not send her I already miss you flowers.
Yeah.
He does.
That's where he is. Well, because he finds out that day, his brother reminds him that because their bar is located in a historic building and they've been thinking about restoring it for a while, he has this connection with Elena and now Addison. And so they decided to take a meeting with this architecture firm. It's the best one in New Orleans. It's a good idea. But they're having that meeting today. And he's like, OMG, I'm going to see Addison again. And I had no idea.
This is the Walshes of New Orleans is what it is.
Yeah. So he sends her flowers. And when she gets them, she is flabbergasted.
I'm such a slut for getting flowers.
Same. Same.
I dated somebody who lived about 3 hours away and used to order me vases.
What?
Just randomly. And it was
the best. Did you feel like the specialist?
I felt like the specialist, little baby.
Yeah.
I was like, every time somebody came over, I only dated this person officially for 1 month, but we were dating for a couple of months. And every person who came over, I'd be like, yeah, so-and-so got me. Look at do you like my flowers? Aren't they pretty? Do you like my flowers? Aren't they gorgeous? Oh, yeah.
I'll overlook a lot if you randomly send me flowers fairly regularly.
Annoying. Same.
I'll overlook a lot.
Which you would fucking have to. Listener, we're about to launch into me wanting to slap the fuck out of this man no less than 18,379 times. Okay? And let me tell you, these flowers, do not
going far enough for you.
Sins. No.
Okay. I don't think she's blameless here either, but we'll get to it.
I'm not saying she's blameless. I want to slap her too. It's just that he is egregious.
Slightly less.
In the next scene.
Yeah, yes. Oh my God. The way he treats her at her work job is wild.
Her work job!
Unforfucking-givable, frankly. Unforgivable.
Literally, I was like, how's there an HEA?
Great question, Sabrina.
How do you come back from this? The answer is you don't. But because like even the rest of this book, I was like, man, I do really like them together. But also, me?
That was a wild way to behave. HBs. Avery Flynn is adding to her Hardigans series. You know I love Avery Flynn's writing, and her newest title, Airhead, is the romance that started it all, the meet-cute that launched 1,000 Hardigans. Here's the description. The night in 1982 that changed everything. There is no way I can resist avenging my sister's broken heart by filling her cheating boyfriend's bitchin' DeLorean with extra buttered movie popcorn, a half-melted Snickers, and the contents of one shaken can of Tab. There's only one 6'6" problem. It's not the creep's car. It's Frank the Airhead Hardigans. Now he wants me to drive him to Harbor City to make up for trashing his ride. On the outside, I'm all gag me with a spoon, but on the inside, yeah, not so much. The truth is, I haven't stopped thinking about him since that night at Marino's bar when he rocked my world to the max. Something that can't happen again. Frank Hardigan isn't a guy you fall for if you want to keep your heart in one piece. Waterbury is littered with the broken hearts of women who forgot that, and I am not about to join their ranks. Fine, I'll drive him around town, but that's it. No kisses, no getting hot and bothered, no toe-curling anything. And no matter what happens tonight, my heart and my panties will for sure remain untouched. Readers are already raving about it. Rachel said, calling all Hardigan family fans, this is the story you've been waiting for. Frank Sr. and Katie's meet cute and how they fell in love, and it's so worth the wait. 5 stars doesn't cover it. I loved this story. Their shenanigans had me laughing, awing, and feeling more than a little hot while reading and falling completely head over heels for the matriarchs of the Hardigan clan. And Kai S. from the Plot Twist podcast said, this totally tubular 80s rom-com was such a blast. My 80s baby heart loved all the throwbacks, especially the Star Wars nods, the big hair, and of course, the music and movie references. I haven't read the prior Hardigans books, but I think I have to now. If you're craving an 80s rom-com packed with fun and spice, this one is for you. Y'all, Airhead comes out today, so get it into your hands. Buy links are in the show notes.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Look, okay, so she's talking with Elena, and Elena's like, who sent you these flowers? And she's like, your friend Gabe. And Elena's like, you're dating Gabe? And she's like, no, I just like saw him a few times. And Elena's like, how many times? And she's like, every time I've been in town.
Okay, so listener, Melody hit the nail on the head that this is the most unfucking realistic book, but also one of the realest books I've
so
ever read
real
in
life.
my
Too much real life for me.
That is such a mood where you're like, you're trying to hedge around the information, and then they ask a single question, and you're like,
the point blank question, and you're like, fuck.
It's lying now. Like if I don't tell you, it's lying.
I'm just lying to you. And here's the rub. She was thinking to herself, I'm going to ghost this guy as of this morning because, and this is where it becomes the most problematic for me and probably you, listener, because she just moved to New Orleans and she is starting a job at his friend's architecture firm who will be working on their building. And she's like had a hand in guiding him to hiring this firm. Addison, babe. New Orleans is not that big, especially for locals.
So that's what I was going to say. Is one of the craziest things to me is like if...
In what fucking world do you think you're going to ghost this guy?
Well,
this
also,
is New York City.
If you are even close to in the same group of people, it's impossible. It's impossible.
You don't think that Elena is going to just like mention you offhand to Gabe at some point?
She needed to have a chat with him, is what it is. The idea that she could just disappear into thin air, which, like, when she lived in New York City, of fucking course you can, Addison. You live 1,000 fucking miles away. Living in New Orleans, working for the architecture firm that is going to be doing the remodel for his building.
What's happening right now in your brain, Addison?
There is no way that she won't at least come up in conversation. You know?
Yes. So anyway, she's like, yeah, it's no big deal. I broke up with him this morning. And Elena looks at the flowers and she's like, does he know that? And she's like,
I love Elena and I want her book.
Yeah.
So badly.
For sure. Yes. Elena is a boss. She's the best. So anyway, she's like, well, Gabe and his brother are coming in today for a consultation for the restoration of their tavern. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll just go out to lunch and disappear and like not be around at that time. It's totally fine. I don't need to be on this project. And Elena's like,
just a hot tip, listener. If you're going to have to completely restructure the way you live your life and what time you do certain things because of having to interact with somebody, you should really just sit down and have a conversation with them.
Right?
Like, that's a sign that ghosting is not going to be an effective...
It's not an option. Yes. Not to mention that, like, she, for the past 6 months, has been consulting for this firm. And now, because she did such a great job on that, they stole her away from her firm and they hired her as their newest associate. So I'm also like, Addison, you're going to walk into this brand new job and be like, I actually have a conflict and I refuse to work on this project. Thank you so much.
Bold.
Like, what?
Bold move. Well, I think that what happened here, and like, honestly, this tracked, is she lived her life. So, listener, Addison is a put together lady. She has a very strict sense of self. And she, because you're about to learn this, she's a single mom to a 5-year-old girl. I don't think they were ever married, but like the baby daddy is a wannabe musician, and he fucked off to the West Coast after she gave him the opportunity, essentially, to be a good family man. And he fucked it all up.
And like gave up his parental rights.
Yes. And now she's even more like my way or the highway as far as my kid is concerned. She does not get support from her family. I mean, her parents like babysit for her while she's out of town for these New Orleans trips. But like she is very much like buttoned at home. She is buttoned up. She is a perfect mom on the surface. And I would argue she's a great mom.
She's a great mom.
And I don't have kids. I will never bear children.
Yeah.
And if I do have a child, it's going to be an active decision. And that's a luxury that I have personally. Like, it's literally impossible for anything else to happen. So, like, I will never accidentally end up pregnant with a dude who actually wants to be on the West Coast following his failing
rockstar dreams
music career.
Yeah.
And I loved in this book that she acknowledges very intently, like, I love my kid.
Yeah.
But, like, this fucked up a lot of stuff. This is not the life I wanted.
This was not the plan I had for my life. It was an accidental pregnancy. And she says that Stella is more than she ever planned for, especially right now, but maybe ever. She's always been like I might not have kids type of person. Yes. And then this happened and she decided to go along with the pregnancy.
Yeah, because she's like, we think she's what? Probably in her late 20s, maybe 30 or so. Yeah. She was 24 when she found out she was pregnant. And she was like, I'm not aborting it. I'm not adopting it out. But boy, it's going
to be fucking
not
rough.
The plan.
Because she also comes from a family that's like, you're going to feel the consequences of whatever decision you make. And so she knew that she would never ask in the first place because she's been so conditioned by this point of view. But she was like, even if I did ask, they would not have let me move in with them. They would not be helping to care for Stella. They would not be helping to pay for anything. It's like, if you're having this baby, then it's your baby. They babysit every once in a while and they're like grandparents to her. It's not like she got, disowned.
Yeah, like they have a college fund for the kids set aside. They pay for like a big fancy preschool or something like that. I remember reading at some point, but it's very much that is their choice. That is not because they have to.
Yeah, there's no obligation whatsoever. And so because of this, she has sort of like clamped down. And one of the most relatable things about this book, one of my favorite things about my last job was when I got to go to conferences and stuff, because especially after I had Ember, it was like I knew he was safe with Michael and usually his mom. And I could just be me as an individual for multiple days in a row. Like not have the nagging sense of like there's someone who needs something or like, is he okay? Or, because even when there's another adult in the house, there's always a part of my brain that's like switched on to what do kids need?
Yeah.
And
well, and like I said, I can totally see this happening where at home she has this thing and then she leaves every weekend and she now all of a sudden those two things are merging.
Yes.
And my God.
Well, and she knows that he is used to her as one type of person, and that is the carefree, vacay. I am sowing my wild oats for the one time a month I can.
Drinking, cursing, fucking with abandon.
I mean, and so now she's also like, even if I wanted to see him, I don't have weekends off. Especially now, there's nobody in New Orleans who like would be that support for me. And so there is no way I can just like go spend the night at his apartment over the fucking bar. That's not a thing anymore.
Guess what though, listener? Gabe is also a single parent.
What?
He has a 5-year-old boy, and boy, I was
he's a cutie pants.
I was a Cooper.
Cooper is a cutie pants.
He got it. Like,
I was a Stella and you were a Cooper.
I wasn't quite a Cooper. Like I definitely went out and like adventured and stuff, but I'm going to sit here and think multiple times. There's many stories of my childhood where my stepmom's favorite story, one of her favorite stories to tell about me is one time I was sitting on the couch and I was just kind of staring off into space. And she came downstairs, did some stuff, went back upstairs, came back downstairs. I was still just kind of staring off into space. And she was like, hey, Sabrina, what are you,
what's going on over there?
What are you doing? And I just paused and looked at her and I said, oh, I was just thinking. Aww. And she was like, what were you thinking about? And I was like, everything. Just what I've been reading. And I was a Cooper for sure.
Yeah. So he's thinking like, I would love to have this woman in my life, but I haven't told her that I am a single dad. And like, that might be a huge problem for her. But he's excited because he gets to see her at this place. They go in, they get escorted to this conference room. Well, rookie move over here by Addison, not already being out of the building 30 minutes before they arrive.
That she was not like, hey, I actually have to leave. There's a child emergency.
Everyone's pooping and I have to go.
I have liquid coming out of every end.
Yes, I gotta go. It's important.
And I just have to leave.
Frankly, this is a gift to you that I not be here.
Do you like that rug? Because if you do, yes. I gotta go home.
Yeah. So instead, she just tries to like bury her head in her phone as she walks by this glass ass conference room.
Also, the fact that she was not pulling a full Mission Impossible to avoid
you gotta crawl
that
under the bitch, the etched part of the glass.
You climb into those ceiling tiles
yes.
and army crawl your way across that room. Like yes. They're like, hey, what's wrong with your air unit?
Yeah, ka-tank. Jesus. So anyway, he immediately like rushes out of the room and he's like, Addison. She ends up stopping and turning around and he's like, hey, it's so good to see you. And she's like, yeah, you didn't tell me that you were going to be here today. And he's like, yeah, I forgot. I didn't know. But really cool that I am, right?
Yeah, we decided to go with this company and stuff. So you're going to be in the meeting, right? And she's like, no. Also,
yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
He's like, did you get the flowers? And she's like, yeah, you really shouldn't have sent those.
And he says, why?
We're not at the giving flowers stage. And he's like,
there's a giving flowers stage?
He's like,
but tell him.
He's like, well, I don't have the exact quote. Do you want me to pull the exact quote?
I think so. It's like, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can make you scream over the sink while I go down on you from behind this morning, but I can't send you flowers.
Please hold. Melody, just please hold. Give us 3 seconds.
Cool. I'm just chill. I'm as chill as Gabe over here.
God, this man this is one of the least chill heroes I've read in a hot minute. Like, he's
got game, but he's got no chill.
Okay, yeah, so he's like, did you get the flowers? Her gaze softened momentarily. I did. They're gorgeous. Good. I was hoping to run into you. That did make her eyes flicker in surprise. Really? You didn't mention you were coming in here today. I forgot that Logan and I had a meeting scheduled with Elena. We decided to go with Monroe and LeBlanc before for the restoration. She nodded. Elena told me this morning after wondering who the flowers were from and after wondering if you'd hire them because we were sleeping together. He blinked at her. Oh. Addison lifted her eyebrow. Yeah. Oh. I didn't think of that. I just wanted to send you something. Why? What do you mean, why? We've been doing this for a while now, she said. Why are you suddenly sending me stuff today? It just occurred to me. He lifted a shoulder. Then he said, I was thinking of you and wanted you to know it. And she says, that's really nice, but we're not really to the flower sending stage, are we? And that annoyed him. I didn't realize there was a specific flower sending stage. I guess it just seems nice, he supplied when she trailed off. Sweet, thoughtful, romantic. Yeah, what she said with a frown. Romantic. And she says, I don't want romantic, Gabe, or sweet, or nice. And he says, you're actually annoyed that I sent them? And she says, yes. And he says to her, so you'd rather I just stick to things like sucking bourbon off your tits or fingering you to orgasm on the balcony while you watch a parade? Her cheeks got pink, her eyes got wide, and she stepped close, lowering her voice.
This is the middle of a work hallway. There are hardwood floors. Everything echoes in this building, okay? God damn it.
Somebody call 911 because I'm about to commit a felony.
Seriously. You're about to get your nuts smashed.
But then he says, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here. And then her boss Travis walks up.
Her big boss. This is like the owner of the company, the big boss.
Well, because it's Elena LeBlanc and Travis Monroe. And this is their architecture firm. Like he's had this company for like 15 years. And Elena came on right out of school. And my God, I want her book so badly.
Yeah. So anyway, the guy's like, oh, wow, I'm so glad that you've met our newest associate. And Gabe's like, that's weird. She's been a consultant up until this point, but maybe they're called associates here. And then he's like, actually, I know her really, really intimately. I can tell you what color her labia are, okay? And that's the level of our relationship. And Travis is like, oh, yeah, cool, man. Well, you know, he tells her, like, he's here to do the bar.
He straight up... Travis is like, oh, Addison, you should come sit in. And she's like, no, I'm okay. That's Elena's project. And Travis says, don't be silly. It's Gabe's first day with us too. And it sounds like you have a more intimate knowledge of Trahans than Elena does. And wow. Okay. So Travis had definitely picked up on the fact that the time Gabe and Addison had spent together had been...
You weren't subtle, Gabe.
Exactly what it had been. And then Gabe says, call 911. Call, like, fucking...
Yes.
Actually, call an ambulance is what you need. Because he says, I think it's safe to say that Addison has a really good idea of what I need.
Oh my, call the fucking National Guard. Okay. Shit's gonna go down.
And then he says, I would love to have her sit on the meeting. And then I'd like to take her out to lunch afterwards, you know, to celebrate her new move and her new job and her being a part of this project. And she says, I can't just jump into a project that someone else has been working on. Just because you and I are friends doesn't mean that I can just come in here and take over. And then he is fucking, where is it? It was egregious.
The friends ship has sailed, Addison. All right.
Yeah, I just, oh my God. And he's not even repentant. We're in his point of view right now, listener. No. And this entire time, he's like, I just crossed a line. I'm not even fucking mad about it.
No,
probably
I'm really
shouldn't
glad
have done
Travis knows the lay of the land over here and that I peed in a circle around her.
Travis was not going to fuck Addison.
No.
Gabe. You, like, this... I like thinking of it from a associate perspective, horrified. I would quit. I would have to leave that job.
Absolutely. Especially since they started this whole conversation with her being like, yeah, my boss asked me if you came to this firm because we're fucking. Like, it's already a problem for her. And he continues to be like, throwing my dick around. It's wild.
And then I'm thinking about this from like a managerial perspective. And like, if I didn't work, I wasn't a manager in situations like in a job like this, but like the thought of like, I'd have to have a conversation with that person to just be like, you do know that this isn't like,
there are no explicit rules against it, but like we're gonna have to figure stuff out. Yeah, but
your dude can't just show up in the office and be saying shit like, apparently Travis doesn't give a fuck because he's Travis like, yeah, whatever. Fucks.
I guess like at the same time, I want to be like, Addison, you talked the firm up and like told him to use them basically. That could have been before she found out that the last project, the consulting job, was basically a job interview, right? Like,
well, and she didn't know.
Yeah.
Like it's said in the book that she like, this came out of nowhere, but she did so well on consulting and she loves this area that they were like, it would be stupid of us not to hire her out from New York, under New York's feet. Like,
but also like, if this is reason number 82, that you should have an explicit conversation with this man being like, not only are we not doing this anymore, but I actually need you to use a different architecture firm or make sure that I'm not on the project because I work there now.
Or at the very least, don't blatantly come in here and be like, yeah, I've been tongue, finger, and dick deep in this pussy many times. Do you want to know what she tastes like?
Yeah. It's inappropriate.
I've licked powdered sugar off of her and somehow didn't give her a yeast infection.
Inappropriate.
Like, oh my God.
Anyway.
This is one of those moments. So this is one of those moments in books where, like, I had this kind of realization recently. I read a really cool article talking about essentially enjoying a book where it's at and being like, this is fiction, you know? Because sometimes I get too sucked into the book where I'm like, it's not self-insert, but I'm definitely like, I didn't even like that book because blah, like whatever reason. This is an example where I'm like, I don't understand any of these people. I do not understand any of these people. This would be solved by a conversation. But also, I fucking enjoyed the shit out of this book.
Loved it.
I had a great time start to finish. This book. Even though I wanted to rip his dick off and force it down his throat to shut him up.
HBs, I've got amazing news. The Happily Ever After Society Kickstarter project is fully funded. Y'all showed up and made this beautiful photography book a reality. Here's even better news. If you haven't yet, you've got 2 more days to back this project. If you've ever wished for a book that celebrates the heart, power, and sheer magic of the romance genre, you need the Happily Ever After Society. This isn't just a book. It's a love letter to romance novels and the incredible authors who bring them to life. This coffee table book features stunning portraits and interviews with 40 romance authors, including some of the biggest names in the genre, like Ali Hazelwood, Christina Lauren, Sarah MacLean, Jasmine Guillory, Catherine Center, Courtney Milan, and so many more. The book will also have cinematic photography spreads from existing romance novels, including In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. We all know romance is the powerhouse of publishing. It's the top-selling genre, the one that keeps the industry afloat, and yet it's still dismissed or belittled. The Happily Ever After Society flips that narrative on its head. It is the epitome of loving romance out loud. It's bold, it's feminist, and it's here to showcase the authors who've been shaping culture, championing love in all its forms, and proving time and time again that a happy ending is anything but trivial. The Happily Ever After Society is live on Kickstarter for 2 more days only. If you believe in celebrating romance, in giving the genre and its authors the spotlight they deserve, go check it out. Pledge today and be part of something that says, loud and clear, romance is powerful and we are not afraid to love it. The link to the Kickstarter project is in the show notes, so get there now.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
So we cut to the lunch that he coerced her into. Turns out he was successful. They're at lunch now after this meeting. And he's like, so what I'm hearing you say is that you moved down here and you were expecting to just like never run into each other again and never explain to me why it ended and all this stuff. And she's like,
you were never gonna come to the tavern. You were never like,
you're never gonna go to a 4th of July party at Elena's house. You fuck. Like, well, how did you think this was gonna go, Addison? That's me talking, not him. But anyway, she's like, I have something to tell you. And it's like, it's like big news. And he's like, oh no, is there another guy? There is, isn't there? And she's like, no, it's almost worse. And he's like, oh, there's nothing worse than you fucking me behind another person's back.
Someone else. No, well, okay.
Kinda.
Yes. Damn it, Addison. It's not what you think.
Oh my God.
It may be worse. Worse than you fucking me behind some other guy's back? Yeah, kind of. What's worse than that? The someone else is a girl. And she's 5. And she's my daughter. And then she watches him. Because this is when dudes usually run the other way.
Uncomfortable, get up, leave. He starts having rainbows come out of his pores. His eyes turn into hearts and he says, awooga.
You have a kid? He asked. She nodded. Stella. Well, holy shit, Addison. And she says, I know. And I'm like, Addison, in what world did you think anything else was going to come out of his mouth other than, that's fucking amazing.
Right?
And this is even up until now, she's like, he's smiling because he's about to run for the hills, I guess. Like, what do you think? He looks overjoyed, Madison. In what world is he not about to come out and be like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me? This is Christmas and my birthday for the last 10 years all at once.
Yes, absolutely. He's glowing right now, literally. And he's like, that's so amazing because I have a son who's 5 and like, it's an Insta family. We can like get married in 6 months or something like that.
He fully launches. He straight up looks at her and oh shit, where is it? There it is. He straight up looks at her. It should have surprised her, really, that he jumped from a weekend fling to I've always wanted more kids. But it did. Because who said that? Who looked at the woman he barely knew, who had just told him about her daughter and said, I've always wanted more kids. Wow. So I guess we should just get married and all move into your mom's place and start having family movie nights, Addison said. We should start trying for more kids right away. Maybe we'll get lucky and have twins. Gabe lifted a brow. It's weird, but you sound a little sarcastic when you say that.
Really,
he said,
Gabe?
Sarcastically. She lifted her eyebrows back at him. You think? What's the problem? He asked. Seriously? You mean besides the fact that I'm trying to break things off and you just essentially proposed?
Yeah.
He sat back in his chair, again assuming that casual, nonchalant posture, but with tight jaw and flashing blue eyes that said, I'm not amused. We don't have to get married right away. We can have a long engagement if you want, but don't think for a second that the idea of twins scares me off.
Oh my God.
Holy crap. She now knew something about Gabe Traha that she hadn't realized before this moment. He was crazy.
He's nutter butter. Absolute stage 8 clinger. Okay.
Stage 8 clinger. This is crawling.
Witness protection is necessary.
This clinger is crawling back up into your butthole as we speak.
This clinger wants kids so bad, he's going to climb into your womb to make it happen.
Well, and it's so interesting because like this track's just based on like, it tracked how close this family is. Like this is very Southern Louisiana. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and so he has always had his family. When he realized that he had the kid and he was keeping the kid, oh my God. We find out that the mom like left after like a year because she just parenthood was not for her. Yeah. And so she left, handed over parental rights and all of that jazz. And then she died in a car accident like a year later. And so like it is him. And he also wasn't planning on having kids. They had been together for 3 months. It was just a sexy time. And boom, pregnancy. And so he moved back in with his mom because to like have her help take care of the kid and like
because he has that built-in support and they were enthusiastic about supporting him.
Yes.
And it's like it's not just the mom, his brother also like babysits, loves Cooper, spends a lot of time together. His brother and he own the tavern together. Like this is a family that is in everything.
Well, and he makes a comment later in the book that was very, very real. This is towards the end, like at the climactic, like oh no, will they, won't they scene. But he is talking to her and he's basically like, I haven't really had to work for like anything. Like
everything's been
this
easy.
This business was given to, like, this successful business was handed down because it's a family business.
Thank goodness.
I like it. My mom's right here and I was able to move in with her. Like everything has just been so easy. And now you're making, like, she has basically over the course of the book made him realize that he feels like a failure as a dad because of a big climactic scene about his kid. And he's like, I need to do this on my own. And I can't. And she's the exact opposite.
Well, but
she's never done anything but raise this kid on her own.
Yeah. And the time she tried, that guy fucked her over bad and then disappeared. So, like, she was burned the one time she tried with the dad.
I'm so glad that, like, the big climactic thing wasn't, like, the dad showing back up or something. Because, like, in a worse book.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what happens.
But in this conversation, he can tell that she is a little bit judgmental about the way that his life is organized. And he doesn't understand it at this point. And he respects her and, like, the fact that she is so confident about all the choices that she makes for Stella by herself, because all of the choices made for Cooper are by committee. But he's like, oh, you think it's kind of fucked up that I live with my mom, huh? And that my mom is one of the primary caretakers of my kid. And she's like, I didn't ever say that out loud. Nope, didn't say it.
Addison, you are an exceptionally put together person, but
you've got a glass face.
Your face is out loud.
Yeah, yes,
your face
absolutely.
Is at full volume, Addison, at all times.
So she's like, this is done. I'm not doing this. I'm not interested. I didn't really even necessarily want this kid. I definitely don't want another kid. It's fucking hard enough with the one. I don't want another kid.
Well, because, like, validly, she's concerned that he's basically like, well, she already comes with the kid, so she knows how to be a mom.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm just like, he just wants a lady to slot into that mom slot and take over his kid.
Yeah.
That's not what he wants, listener. He's like, boy, when I tell you, this man has been smitten since those text messages in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like,
yeah. So now I got a little distracted in my audiobook reading and I decided not to go back. I'm confused because Gabe goes to a single... Yes.
Did you only read this once?
I only read this once. That's how real life it was. It was too much. I couldn't do it anymore.
Whoa.
Yeah. I enjoyed book, couldn't read it again. So I was confused about how... So Gabe goes to a single parent support group, which is an incredible idea. What an amazing idea.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I clocked back into audiobook, she was eating pralines in her office that were from a single parent support group, ?
So he sends her pralines because they're her favorite, candied pralines.
Mm-hmm. He
sends them because they're like her favorite little thing, quote unquote, on behalf of the support group. And the craziest thing to me is
she didn't think this was fucking weird.
That they just found her within a week.
They just found out that she's a single mom, new to town, like these strangers at this support group.
And sent her a bunch of candied nuts
to
her work job?
It's not a flyer in her mailbox. You know what I mean? Like,
this
that would be
very
one thing.
Specific. It was like, we hope to see you there. And so she...
But this was okay. So I was right. She gets these things literally on. I know that, but it to her it's presented as from this support group, and she's like, it all checks out.
He knows that she would never go if they're from her. And the craziest thing to me is New Orleans is huge for human trafficking.
Yes,
ma'am. You're gonna go to a place, an unknown place,
random place.
You literally just got in the white van because some creepy guy offered you candy.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so that was my thing. I was like, okay, so Addison looked at this and she was like, everything about this is totally normal and I have no more questions. That's what happened. Great. Excellent. Excellent. So like she goes to this support group.
That is, this book is not terribly realistic. There are many things that she does that is
like, what?
So,
this is a lady who does background checks on like, you know, the person who's going to clean her windows.
And yeah, like she's like,
hilarious.
Do you have a resume for that valet before I give him my car? You know, like, do you have references actually that I can call real quick?
Hello.
Like,
okay, so then meanwhile, Gabe has had this whole conversation because Cooper is obsessed with alligators right now, okay?
Cooper,
I love a kid's special interest.
Cooper, my favorite thing about children is a hyper-focused child.
Yes.
Because I love being info dumped on. And about anything. I don't care what it is. If you have something that you are passionate about and you know a million different facts about it, feel free to sprinkle that into everyday conversation. I will also happily knit and just listen to you.
Yeah.
For hours. As long as you want to talk about it. And like Cooper, this is a child that if I was at a party or something and he came up to me, oh my God.
You would be on the side with Cooper and nobody else.
Absolutely.
Nobody else is at the party at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. They'd be like, hey, do you want to go? Hey, Coop, you want to go play a game? And I'd be like, stay away from the child. I'm learning from the child.
Yeah. Child is lecturing right now. Thank you.
In the least creepy way possible. I'd be like, this is my child for the foreseeable future. You can leave.
Yeah. So anyway, the kid is obsessed with alligators and Gabe says like, oh, you know, maybe, or like the grandma or something says like, maybe we should do a swamp boat tour because they've noticed this pattern that Cooper really likes things in the theoretical sense, but he doesn't really like to like get in and be active with the thing.
Very cautious child.
Yes. Very cautious. And so they're talking to him about like maybe doing this. And Gabe is like, hey, bud, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. If you're interested in going, I would love to go and like see alligators with you. I will keep you safe the whole time. But if you don't want to go, that's no problem. We can spend Saturday at home. Like no big deal. And the grandma, when Cooper leaves, is like, hey, man, there needs to be a balance between making sure your kid feels safe all the time and making sure they have experiences in the world and like teaching them like, a measure of independence.
Life is about taking a risk. Like it is impossible to live this life without taking a risk. And so you coddle him basically.
And the brother points out that Gabe is only there for like happy snuggle times.
He's the good time guy.
Yeah. And the mom does most of the discipline or, you know, like shit's gone down things. Yeah. And so Gabe is going into this next meeting having like a lot on his heart about parenting, which is wild because of the way he acts in said meeting. Okay. So here's the deal. She shows up to meeting.
By the way, listener, I just need you to know that in that conversation, when they were having lunch, he not only immediately launched into essentially a proposal, he did also, he was like, so like, when do you want to meet my kid? Do you want to like skip out on work?
Oh, my God.
Come meet my Cooper right now? Like right this very second? We could also go pick up Stella at the same time. We could all go get Froyo, you know?
And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about, you menace? Like, this is not how I raise my child. I have to vet people hardcore.
Even I have a lot of friends who are / were single parents. Even the least risk averse, even the least cautious, even the just most fuck it people I know who have children and are dating, never in a million years. Never in a million years that they'd be like, yeah, we fuck once a month. And I just found out she moved here. And so, like, come meet my kid.
Yeah, we've spent less than 12 days together. And half of that was in bed.
Not even like a child that is old enough to have a conversation. This is a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, you can't.
They're writing long-lasting memories at this point.
And this is confusing. Like bringing this person into their life and then just like jettisoning this person from your life.
Yeah.
That's rough on a 5-year-old.
Weird stuff. Yeah. So she shows up to this support group, very excited. She's like, I've never even thought about, seeking out this kind of resource. And then she is shocked, listener. I tell you, shocked that Gabe saunters into this place and like man spreads across the circle from her.
The excuse that I gave her is after coming from New York, she is so carbo loaded on jambalaya and gumbo and beignets, and that she's essentially, her brain has stopped
Her brain
working
is mostly sugar now.
To process sugar right now. And so that's why.
I believe it.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Owning a boat comes with a number of perks, like being able to say, ahoy, or land ho, and not feel weird about it. So here's another perk. Geico's boat insurance offers access to the largest towing fleet on the water. And with specialist support from agents that are as passionate about boating as you are, there's so much value that you'll want to say, shiver me timbers, and not feel weird about that either. Get more with Geico.
I believe it.
As somebody who came from Southern California and moved to Louisiana for college, I can confirm that the first 3 months, it's a miracle that I remember anything from those classes, because I have never I ate more carbs in the first 3 months of living in Louisiana than I had ever eaten possibly in my entire life.
Incredible.
Like, it was a fugue state of delicious Southern cuisine.
Yeah, she's in the middle of powdered sugar and thinking about literally wrapping herself in a beignet. It's fine. And as he sits down at this thing, remember, he has big capital Q questions about, like, if he's making the right decisions for his kid, the steps he should take next, if he should reorganize the way that, he interacts with Cooper and, like, who is responsible for what. But instead, when it's his turn to talk, he says, there's this woman. And they're like, oh, yeah, the lady from New York, right? And Addison's like, the fuck? Like,
and like, I understand why he talked about all of this.
Sure.
Right? Because, like, he makes the point. He's like, because she brings this up when they finally talk. She's like, why would you tell them about all of that stuff? And he's like, because a big part of being a single parent is dating.
Yeah.
Like, how do you date?
Navigating romantic relationships while also being a parent. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, okay. But on the other hand, in justice for Addison here, though, because he goes crazy far.
I'm on Addison's side.
It's bananas.
For sure.
He starts talking about how, like, wonderful she is and how, it's her. He's on the let's commit bandwagon, and everybody's like, what, you? And so she's like, interesting. He has been a commitment phobe before, but, like, I'm different. And then as they're like, then he goes on this fucking monologue about how he knows her really, really well.
Listener,
and how they're
this
like,
is like
fucking
3
faded.
pages. This is 3 pages basically of her listening to him wax poetic about her. and how well he knows her because of how she eats beignets.
Yes. And then in front of, I don't know, a dozen strangers or a dozen of his acquaintances, he goes to the point of like, I think, he talks about something about her underwear. And then he says that she'll show up with like edible like lotion for sex times. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, dude, there is a time and a fucking place. These people do not need to know that.
I could totally...
Am I a prude?
My thing is, I am absolutely the person, and maybe I guess this is just a me thing, and like nobody is surprised by this because of how open I am on this podcast. You know,
sure. I mean,
the singular listener out there knows a lot about me. Right?
Same.
And it's not just because I can't see them face to face. Like, I have no problem talking about, I will not attribute names to it to keep their anonymity. But like, I would absolutely, if I was a single parent, I could totally see that this is a conversation I would have with these people. While the person, though, is sitting right there.
Like,
Gabe.
And I could see somebody like blurting something like that, but it really is like this waxing poetical about her, and like it's this speech that like, you know, builds, and then like it's I don't know, the way that he talked about it. I was like, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Do you know how fast I'd have a restraining order on this?
Truly, it's Nutter Butters.
There would be a picture of him at the front desk of my job.
Absolutely.
Saying, if you see this person,
call the authorities.
Call the authorities.
I'm in danger. But okay, but it also was a big romance. I don't want to say that it's like so creepy.
Swoony.
It's very, very swoontacular.
This book is such a great example of the entire time. I'm like, red flag, red flag, red flag. God, I love this man.
Wow. Look at my scarf made of red flags.
She's got a red flag gown on. Both of these people are just so red flag. And the entire time I was like, I love it. I love them. I think that they're great together.
I was just thinking about being like Caleb sitting there in this. I come here to talk about bedtime routines and like how the fuck to keep my kid from like eating beads or whatever. Okay, that's
Caleb's
what I'm here for.
Caleb is Gabe's friend.
No, Caleb is also in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. B. I don't care. I'm thinking of just being a person. Lindsay, a person in this group.
How about Dana?
Dana, fine. Being a person in this group and being like, what are, like, looking at your watch and being like, what in the edible underwear are we doing right now? Because I have real shit to talk about, and you want to talk about this lotion.
$20 an hour right now for a babysitter.
Yeah,
and I
don't want to hear about your sex lotion.
I need some sleepy time advice. How the fuck do you get your kid up and out of the house on time?
Thank you. These are the things. Like, do you have another sitter that I can coordinate with just in case mine falls through? These are the. I just want to complain for a minute.
I do not want your edible underwear girl to be the sitter.
Well,
please.
I don't care what she does on her own time. Just like tell her not to bring it. You know what I mean? But also, I shouldn't know that about her. What are you doing right now? Why are you like this? Like, I just cannot imagine this guy, this like big, beefy, you know, bartending, tattoos everywhere guy being like, and then she pulled out the flavored lotion so she could slather it all over my dick, and I gave her a peach popsicle that day. Like, get out of here now, sir. This is a conversation you have at the bar with your friends after group, not during group. This is not. This is a Wendy's.
This is a Wendy's.
Anyway.
No, I fully agree with you, though, because, like, as I was sitting there saying, like, I could see this conversation coming up. This man is egregious on so many levels, listener. He crosses so many lines. And, like, I am the first I am the first person to, if you tell me, well, that's just how this, like, that's just not something we do in this situation, I'm going to have questions. I'm going to need to know why. I'm going to need you to give me some answers that are, I consider valid answers, right? This is one of those situations. There are certain societal situations that in my life I have learned you do have to keep some things to yourself.
Yes.
This is one of those.
I've got 2 fucking hours, dude, okay? This is work time right now. This is work and therapy.
One of the craziest things to me is that these people just have 2 hours on a Thursday afternoon to do something.
Night. It's a night, but yeah.
What? But like Thursday night, 2 hours on a night?
When they said 2 hours, I was
night?
like, that's wild. That's incredible. But, you know, I was going with it.
Anyway, no, me too. But like, I did definitely like record scratch. I was like, I don't even have a kid. And like, if you told me you wanted to do something on a Thursday, I don't even have a job that I have to be at 8 a.m. anymore. And if you came to me and you said, hey, there's a thing every single Thursday night that's 2 hours long, are you coming? I'd be like,
right in the middle of bedtime.
Am I? I don't know that I am.
I'm not.
I might be there every other week.
Super not.
Maybe.
So anyway, she keeps on going to this group and she starts like thawing to him a bit because he'll come up to her and he'll be like, what color are your underwear? And she's like, why would you ask that?
He specifically walks up, listener, and he says, pink panties or pink
that's
thong?
what it is.
And she's like, why do you assume I'm wearing pink underwear? And he says, because you always match your underwear
to your skirt. It's another thing I know about you from the time we spent together.
And I'm like, oh, you don't want to share that with the group?
Right? That seems like perfectly reasonable common knowledge.
That's too far. You know, I'm shocked that you didn't just look me dead in the face across the fucking
and ask me out loud
and ask me about the underwear, and then also like, hey, how are you tasting? You been eating fruit?
Yeah, right. What's your pH like down there? Don't worry, I'll test it.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? So anyway, they like kind of flirt and she's like, I'm still not into this. And he's like, got it. I'll just keep chipping away at your defenses. And so that's essentially what happens until finally she's like, you want to fuck me on this table, on the snack table after everybody leaves?
Whoa.
Come on, we're an hour and 6 minutes in, Sabrina. Nothing else happens.
I understand that. I'm going to zippy zap us through some stuff, but you do not get to just do that, okay? So,
no, because also she starts looking up alligators too. She's like, I totally don't want to be with him.
Well, because she is somebody who tears things apart to understand how they work. And that's what makes her comfortable with doing a thing. And so she has decided that she is going to tear Gabe apart to understand how he works, to understand her fear of that. And so she's been looking up alligators because Cooper's important to him. And she knows that Cooper is important to alligator. Like, alligators are going to be the key to Cooper for right now. And so she starts looking up alligators. And listener,
alligators are Cooper's cheat code.
Gabe, for right now anyway. Yes. And Gabe is a Stella and Addison is a Cooper for sure. And so she is doing all of these things and then shares the tip, but like she like whatever. And then finally the alligator thing comes up. And she is talking to him. They're having this very on the nose metaphorical conversation about how scary alligators are, but she's willing to take a chance on a swamp tour. And I laughed out loud, listener, because they have this whole conversation that is a very, very, very obvious metaphor for dating, but it's about a swamp tour. And she says she was willing to try with him. Holy hell, he hadn't realized how much he needed to hear her say that. He reached up, put a hand on the back of her neck, and got a hand on a nape. On the back of her neck and pulled her forward. She came willingly. And he says to her, you want to get on my swamp boat for a tour ad? Oh my God. He asked, his voice gruff. One corner of her mouth lifted. I do. in spite of myself. But the fact that he was like, you won't get on my swamp tour? We're going like, you getting on my airboat? Like, and it worked. It worked on her. And to be clear, it'd work on me.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, at this point, like, it's a done deal.
This man is so charming.
You can say whatever you want, you know? Yeah. So anyway, she also like recruits.
Anything.
I mean,
you
can
say whatever.
Anything, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like once we're at a chemistry flirty point where like it's on TM, you can
there's no
say whatever shit you want. It's gonna happen.
You're so right.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, my feel good chemicals will make anything sound sexy. It's fine. So she even recruits Stella to like maybe being into alligators so that they can go on this swamp tour. Anyway, the group also once a month gets all the kids together as well. And so they're going to
fuck on the snack table, though. I do have to give you a quote real quick from him fucking her on the snack table.
Yes, please.
Because, listener, when I tell you the dirty talk in this book,
primo,
he says to her, maybe, and by the way, she is naked on this snack table. And he is mostly
just in a
dressed.
Fucking gymnasium, okay? She's just in a Girl Scouts gymnasium, ? And naked full down to her toenails. And like he's fully dressed. And
his pants are around his knees.
His like this whole. He says, Caleb locked the door. She says, how do you know that? And he says, because he always does. And she's like, she's fine with that. She just accepts it.
But then he is like he is inside of her, and he says to her, maybe I won't let you come since you kept me away from it for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. He said, maybe I'll just take what I want since you didn't think you needed this. Maybe if you want to come, I should make you promise to give me this pussy anytime I want it. And I want it, Ad. I want it over and over. I want to feel a sweet, wet heat in my hand, on my tongue, and around my cock. I want to fill you up and wring you out, Addison. Every fucking night.
Yeah.
And I was like, sir, by the way, listener, I really hope that you were in a drive-through at full volume for that.
Please.
You're welcome. Oh my God. Just fully butt-ass naked. Wow.
The trust on this lady at this moment is
at the most
wild
random times too, because she is so closed down and cautious about like, ma'am, you didn't fucking background check Caleb. What if he has ADHD and forgot to lock the fucking door this time?
Thank you. Like, you didn't just saunter over there real quick and like check is all you needed to do.
But yeah, you could have made that sexy. He could have like prowled back to you. Like, this doesn't have to be like, let me go check the door. And then like the anticipation.
And like, you touch yourself while I do that maybe or something. But somebody fucking check that door.
Check the door. Check that lock. What if it didn't latch? This is a fucking community center. Shit doesn't like, good Lord.
Crazy. That's where we're going to leave you for today. Tomorrow, we'll be back with the conclusion to this romantic single-parent jigsaw puzzle. Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by me, Melody Carlisle. Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by the ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. That one small action is a huge way to help the show. If you want to get in touch with us for advertising inquiries or anything else, you can email us at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. See you then.
Love it out
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Owning a boat comes with a number of perks, like being able to fling your favorite fishing rod around. And here's another perk. Geico's boat insurance covers your boat and your belongings. And with specialist support from agents that are as passionate about boating as you are, there's so much value that you'll want to high-five someone. But not while you're holding your fishing rod. That's a prized possession. So hold on tight with both hands and keep it covered through boat insurance. Get more with Geico.